The sky had turned an inky black, with a smattering of stars glittering faintly above the quiet village. The wind howled gently through the trees, rustling the leaves and sending a chill through the air. 7-year-old Eli sat on the porch of his family's modest home, his legs swinging off the edge of the wooden steps. His mother's voice drifted from inside the house as she sang a lullaby to his younger sister, soothing her to sleep. Eli liked the quiet moments of the evening, but tonight something felt different. His gaze drifted toward the edge of the forest that bordered their small village. There, standing motionless among the trees, was a figure. At first, Eli thought it might be one of the neighbors out for a late-night stroll, but the figure's pale glow made his breath catch in his throat. The figure was tall and shrouded in what looked like flowing, translucent robes. Its face was indistinct, blurred like a smudged painting, but Eli could make out the faint outline of eyes that seemed to be fixed directly on him. A cold dread washed over him, rooting him to the spot. "Eli, time for bed," his mother called from inside. He turned his head briefly toward the door. "But Mama, there's someone in the forest," he called back. His mother appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on her apron. She followed his gaze but saw nothing. "There's no one there, sweetheart. Probably just your imagination running wild again. Come inside now." Eli hesitated, his eyes darting back to the forest. The figure was still there, unmoving. When he looked again at his mother, her expression softened, but held a tinge of impatience. With a small nod, he reluctantly stepped inside, stealing one last glance over his shoulder. The figure had vanished. The next morning, Eli's mind was still fixated on the strange figure. At breakfast, he told his father and older brother, Adam, about what he'd seen. "It was a ghost," Eli insisted, his small hands gripping his bowl of porridge. "It was glowing and staring right at me." Adam snickered. "A ghost? Really? Maybe it's the spirit of the sandwich you dropped last week, back for revenge." "Adam, don't tease your brother," their father said, though he too had a skeptical smile. "Eli, sometimes our minds play tricks on us, especially at night. Maybe it was just the moonlight hitting the trees in a strange way." Eli frowned. "But I know what I saw." "Finish your breakfast, Eli," his mother interjected gently. "You have school today." At school, Eli shared his story with his best friend, Musa, hoping for a more sympathetic ear. Musa listened intently, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Do you think it'll come back?" Musa asked in a hushed tone, as they sat under a large baobab tree during recess. "I don't know," Eli admitted, "but I'm going to find out." That night, Eli stayed awake long after his family had gone to bed. He positioned himself by the window, his small face pressed against the glass as he watched the forest edge. Hours passed, and the village grew silent, save for the occasional hoot of an owl or the distant bark of a dog. Just as his eyelids began to droop, a faint glow caught his attention. There it was again, the ghostly figure, standing in the same spot as before. Eli's heart raced, but this time curiosity outweighed his fear. He grabbed his flashlight and slipped out the door as quietly as he could. The cold night air bit at his skin, but he pressed on, his bare feet crunching softly against the grass. As he approached the figure, it remained still, as though waiting for him. When he was just a few feet away, the figure seemed to shimmer and shift, its indistinct face tilting slightly. "Who are you?" Eli whispered, his voice trembling. The figure raised an arm and pointed deeper into the forest. Then, without a sound, it began to glide away, its ethereal form fading in and out like mist. Eli hesitated for only a moment before following. The forest was eerily quiet, and shadows danced across the ground with every flicker of his flashlight. The figure moved effortlessly through the trees, always staying just ahead. Finally, it stopped in a small clearing. At its center was an old, crumbling well covered in moss and vines. The figure gestured toward the well before vanishing completely. Eli approached cautiously, peering into the darkness of the well. He could see nothing but felt a strange pull, as if the well held a secret it desperately wanted to share. A sudden rustling in the bushes behind him made him jump, and he turned to find his father standing there, a lantern in hand. "Eli, what are you doing out here?" his father demanded, his voice a mix of anger and worry. "I saw it again, Papa. The ghost," Eli said, pointing toward the well. "It brought me here." His father sighed, running a hand through his hair. There are no ghosts, Eli. This well has been here for decades, forgotten by everyone. Let's go home. Eli tried to argue, but his father's stern expression left no room for discussion. Reluctantly, he followed his father back to the village, casting one last glance at the well. Over the next few days, Eli couldn't shake the feeling that the well was important. He tried to convince Musa to come with him to investigate, but Musa's courage faltered when he heard about the ghost leading Eli there. Even Adam, who usually loved a good adventure, refused to entertain the idea. I'm not getting in trouble for one of your wild stories, Adam said dismissively. Frustrated but determined, Eli decided to go back alone. This time, he brought a rope from the shed and tied it securely around a tree near the well. As he lowered himself into the dark, damp space, his heart pounded in his chest. The air grew colder, and the scent of earth and mildew filled his nostrils. At the bottom, he found something unexpected. A small, rusted box buried partially in the mud. He pried it open to reveal a bundle of letters, yellowed with age, and a locket containing a faded photograph of a young woman. The letters told a tragic story of a woman who had lived in the village long ago, whose fiancé had died in an accident before their wedding. Heartbroken, she had thrown herself into the well, her spirit said to haunt the forest ever since. Eli climbed back up with the box, his mind racing. He showed the items to his parents, hoping they would finally believe him. While his mother seemed moved by the story, his father remained skeptical. It's an old tale, Eli. That doesn't mean you saw a ghost, his father said. But we should return these items to the village elders. They might know more. The elders were indeed familiar with the story, and decided to hold a small ceremony by the well to honor the woman's memory. They believed it might bring her spirit peace. On the night of the ceremony, the entire village gathered, and the atmosphere was somber yet hopeful. As the elders spoke prayers and laid flowers by the well, Eli felt a sense of closure. Though he never saw the ghost again, he liked to think that the woman's spirit had finally found rest. While most of the villagers still dismissed his story as a child's overactive imagination, Eli knew the truth. And that was enough. From then on, whenever he passed the forest, he would smile, silently thanking the ghost for trusting him to uncover her story. It was a secret he would carry with him, a reminder that even the unseen had a voice waiting to be heard.